can't believe I'm back here again already. It's so soon. I never expected it, but of course I guess I should have expected it. Well, Blurr. Blurr, calm down. You know, you speak really fast at the best of times. And when you're excited, you speak even faster. Now, how about you let me do the introduction? But I want to do the introduction. I'm so excited that I want to have something to say. I want to have a lot to say. Okay, you want to have a lot to say. I get it. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. And as you can tell, Blurr is pretty excited. Not too long ago, I took a step back in time and I looked at the Generations Blurr that we got a few years ago. And today, we're going to continue on with some Titans Returns coverage. No, we're going to continue on with some Titans Return coverage. And we're going to look at the deluxe class Blurr with his Titan Master partner, Hyperfire. Now, if you have followed me for a while, especially if you saw the other review, you know that I'm not happy with Blurr being revisioned as a Headmaster. Hyperfire, who is supposed to be a stand-in for Haywire, should be a Target Master. So, me being me, to try and rectify that situation a bit, I have done a mod on this guy, and I'm going to show you what I did and how to do it when we take a look at this guy in the latest GotBot True Review. Okay folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot, and I thank you for dropping by. Please like, comment, subscribe. Check me out everywhere, check out my work, and this is the Titans Return incarnation of Blurr. We're going to measure this guy like we always do with paint apps, Poseability, playability, and of course his transformation. I mentioned that I did a mod. I'm going to explain how I did that, and you can decide if you want to do it too. Now, I feel like on camera, this guy looks pretty blue. I'm going to tell you now, he's not a deep, rich blue in hand. He's more of a dark teal, aqua, sea foam green type of blue. It's not a stark blue. And when I saw it, I was both overwhelmed with this guy and underwhelmed with this guy. I was overwhelmed because the sculpt is really good, it looks like Blurr, but I was underwhelmed because the coloring is not great. Now, that being said, I do want to reference something here, if I may. As I said, I recently looked at the Generations version of this guy, and he's a good figure, he's a good Blurr, and this is him. Here are both Blurrs side by side, and the older one, by my understanding, is a mold, a style, especially the head sculpt, that is based on his appearance in the comics, with a coloring that is pretty reminiscent of G1. I ended up giving him a 7 for paint apps. Not because the paint apps aren't good. The dark blues, the light blues, even the bit of white is pretty much where it should be. But the mold was off. Well, taking him out of it, guess what? The updated Blurr, he gets the exact same score. He gets a 7. The mold is correct, but the coloring is off. My understanding is that this guy has a animation-inspired mold with a coloration that is reminiscent of the comics. So he's the reverse of the other Blurr. The other Blurr has, you know, comics-inspired mold, animation-inspired colors, and this guy has an animation-inspired mold and comic-inspired colors. If you like his coloration in the comics, I guess you're going to give him higher. But for me, for what I'm looking for, he's going to get about a 7. Poseability, playability. He's pretty good. He rolls great as a vehicle, which you will see. In this mode, the head can go left and right. It can look up ever so slight, down ever so slight. It's a pretty snug fit. This This Titan Master has a pretty snug fit. The arms can go all the way around. They can go out like that. He still kind of hits himself in the head. So did the other one. There's a bicep swivel. There's a 90-degree elbow. There is wrist swivel. Very nice to see. There is waist articulation, but the waist is on a mushroom peg. And if you turn it too much, or at least with mine, he does this. It's not a big deal that he comes apart, but it does mean snapping it back in. The legs go well out to the side. He can do the splits very well. And there is a thigh swivel? Yeah, there is a thigh swivel, and there's a knee bend to about 90 degrees, a little over 90 degrees actually. And I guess you can do that with his toes. I mean, you can bend his toes forward and back if you really want. He has those little pegs on him for Titan Masters to get into. He has his canopy on his back. As a lot of people know by now, you can wiggle this off, or you should be able to wiggle off. It's pretty tight though. And he can, of course, hold this in his hand, or you can put it on his arm as a shield. You have those options. He also comes with this gun, which I have on his arm currently. This blaster, I think it's a pretty good blaster. I love the silver coloring on it. I kind of like it, even though it sort of looks like more like a harpoon gun. I'll take this off again. You can turn this around and you can flip out, or at least there, you can flip out that landing gear piece. There is a little hole underneath here, and you can put that over a peg that's right here. And if you want, I will just lay that down. If you want, you can remove Hyperfire and put him, I guess, in here, is it? Yeah, and you can seat him in there like that, if you're so inclined. I will never ever use that feature. Hyperfire is supposed to be a version of Haywire. See if I can show you him. See if this will focus for me. There he is in his bot mode. Is he pinned at the hips? Yeah, he's pinned at the hips. The paint is nothing like Haywire. He gets a 2 for paint apps. His transformation, again, it's a 2. It's like all of the other Titan Masters where you have the arms that can go ever so slight on ball joints. They go right down to his side. He can sit down. The legs can bend all the way around. He becomes Blurr's head and does a nice job as Blurr's head. I really like the face sculpt and whatnot. The little crest thing can pull up, by the way. So it's a great head for Blurr. It really is. Poseability, playability 2, transformation 2, coloring 2. Hyperfire to me is not an homage to Haywire. It's a brand new figure that makes Blurr's head and turn Blurr into a Headmaster. Don't dig it. So I'm going to put him back on, and I'll say this: he does, there's your port, and this guy does fit in there well. You heard him. I think you heard him snap down. And it's a great head for Blurr, but like I said, I don't want to use this in any manner like a Titan Master. I want it to be a G1 incarnation of Blurr. By the way, on the back, you see that he doesn't really have any back kibble there now. There are 2, I guess we'll call them posts. They're flat. I guess we'll call them posts. And on his shield up here, there are 2 holes just above where my fingers are, and those 2 holes go on over this section here, and they come down rather tight, and you can put that on his back. I like that. I don't care that he has the canopy on his back and that he has a bit of a big backpack. I like it a lot better. When we look at the Poseability, Playability, I had given the original one, you know, and a 7.5. Haywire gets a 2. This Blurr, honestly, I'm going to give him about a 7.5 or an 8 as well. He's not any better, he's not any worse than the Generations Blurr as far as I'm concerned, because I really like that mold. Now we come to the transformation. I had given the original mold an 8.5. Let's see what I give this guy. Normally, what you would do is remove the head, and you would come to the side and presumably open up the cockpit and fold this down to make a seat and stick the head in here as, you know, Hyperfire, I guess, driving Blurr. Well, we're not going to do that. This is the way he comes in a package. As you know by now, I always do these guys the way they come in a package, but I did do the mod on this guy, so I'm going to show that right now because I think it helps with the transformation personally. Up top, see if I can show this close. Up top, I have a far larger gap than what is there. I hollowed out this entire upper section, and I hollowed out a little bit on the bottom. Kids, this is where I give a GotBot warning. If you see this and you think, you know, I'd like to do it, get the help of an adult, because you need to use something like a penknife or a you know, a sharp crafting knife, something that is small but something that is quite sharp, hollowed out. Luckily, the plastic tends to shave off very easily. I was afraid that I might do something to break them. I didn't, thankfully. But you do need to take a significant amount off the top. That's pretty much, you're not going to get away with taking off less than that. And down bottom, you do have to take a little bit away because it does push up into I guess the body of the Titan Master. So how do we transform this guy now with the mod done so that he is no longer a Titan Master? Well, I guess we'll do the easy parts first. On his arm, you take these pieces and you flip them down over his hand, and I guess you straighten out his arm. If you didn't already do that, straighten out his arm, flip down that piece. You can take his feet and flip up his feet. So far, so good. Pretty easy. Unpeg the shoulder and just start to bring it down. Unpeg the shoulder and just start to bring it down. This piece here, I think it's easiest if you open it up now. Flip out the little seat that's there that makes up his abdomen. Now, here's where we have I guess an alteration to the transformation. Push down the little crest and straighten out the legs of the Titan Master. I have not removed them, I've just straightened out the legs. Take this whole canopy section and bring it right up over. And when you want to transform him back to robot, you can take this whole canopy section and bring it back down over. No longer does Blurr have to be a guy whose head removes. You bring that up and you peg it in. The legs of the Titan Master are down here. They do not interfere with the rolling of the wheel. You can alter them as you see fit. That's how it kind of looks underneath. I tend to just kind of fold them next to the front tire. So you have all of that up. Next, open his leg and open his leg. There is a hinge here and you need to collapse it. It's a bit weird. I guess technically what you're doing is collapsing the knee, but there's like a double hinge there, so I find you have to collapse the knee and then bend the whole thing up if you want it to fit tightly. It sounds strange, and the instructions don't particularly make it clear. Once you have that done, and you've collapsed that knee as much as you can, you should be able to peg the legs together. And honestly, I find doing his legs is is the most challenging part. Before you peg the legs together, I'm sorry, there's a piece in here that flips out. It will go up over the top. Just flips out right there. I guess it's supposed to be reminiscent of his head crest when his head goes down in that section. Now you can flip those legs up and you can peg them together and fold in the legs that you had previously unfolded. Next, take the arm and turn it all the way around so that the shoulder is now facing toward the back of the vehicle and collapse it in. When you collapse it in, there is a peg right here on the side of the canopy that goes into a slot right here on the arm. That pegs all the way in. Over on this side we bring it in, and that pegs all the way in. Last but not least, you put down the canopy and boom, there you go, Blurr in vehicle mode, and he rolls great. You may be wondering about weapon storage for this. Well, you can stick it on the side if you want. It sticks in there very well. Or, as it is really intended, you can stick it in under. And here you get Blurr. The whole canopy front piece can come off and stick in on the side. Again, I guess I'll show it for the sake of showing it. You just unpeg it. You just unpeg the arms and then you basically, I guess I'll open it to show it. It's the easiest way for me to do it. You can take that off. Goodness gracious. Put that in, put that in. I guess take off the Headmaster unit for now, or the Typemaster unit for now. And you can turn this around and attach it to his arm. And of course it does not want to work with me now. Naturally. There, you can put it in like that. And you can take the Titanmaster and still put them in there like that. I think that that looks absolutely ridiculous. I will never in a million years do it. I do not like that feature at all. Not a fan. But his transformation overall isn't too bad. I guess technically I'll do it back just because I wanted to show a couple of brief comparisons here. I'm going to give his transformation about the same. 8.5. Here's the thing. These are both great versions of Blurr for different reasons. The weaknesses of one are the strengths of the other. The strengths of one are the weaknesses of the other. It is really as simple as that. Do you need to update Blurr if you have the older version? I don't think so. I don't think so. If you're happy with that version of Blurr, more power to you. He's a great Blurr. I think that you can have him as your representation of Blurr and be very, very okay with it. If you feel like this guy is more reminiscent of the animation, hey, you know what? Go for it. There's no reason not to go for it. If, like I said, if you have different sensibilities than the Generations Blurr gives you the ability to fulfill. I just wanted to show him really briefly with, here he is with Hot Rod, and here he is with Cop. You know, he fits in nicely. He looks good with them. He really does. And of course, we're soon going to be getting an update to this guy. I look forward to that. In the end, what can I say? Hopefully you like the mod. If it's something that you want to do so that you just have a, you know, a solid blur, hey, you can do it. The mod works great. Putting that crest down again, putting this out. You know, you do have to get the shoulders out of the way. After you carve out that, you know, section of plastic, I guess I'll take the gun out of the way just to, you know, show it easily. Once you carve it out, I mean, it's beautiful. It goes right over his head. I like him, but I like the other Blurr too. I don't really have a preference. They're both great figures. At the end of the day, the original Blurr got somewhere between an 8 and an 8.5. This guy gets about the same, an 8 to 8.5. That's it. That is the first of the deluxes done. Hopefully it was helpful in transformation. Hopefully it was helpful in giving you an idea of something you can do to customize them just a little bit. Thanks for dropping by and having a visit with me. I always appreciate it. More Titans Return just around the corner. And what else can I say? I thank you and I look forward to the next time that you stop by and you and I have a visit right here inside the videos. Oops, sorry, I forgot to show the packaging. It's, you know, it's your Titans Return box, product shot and whatnot on the back. It says that Hyperfire makes him faster. This is his collector card. I think that looks really good. I think that's nice art. And on the back you can see the tech specs, which I am a fan of as well. If you're gonna have a collector card, folks, have it be something worthwhile. Okay, anyway, that's it. So, that being said, I'll take that out of it. I'll take that out of it. I'll thank you for dropping by again, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together again for another visit right here inside the videos.